I have to share with you that sometimes I can't believe my life. I grew up in my father's bakery when I was a kid, and I never went to college. My dad never went to college. For generations, everybody in my family was a baker. I took one college class one semester. It's all I could afford. I had some success during early adulthood, but I squandered it with drinking and just being a general ass. By the time I met my current wife, Tanya, I had lost everything. And when Tanya finally gave up and said she would marry me, she thought that I would probably be a garbage man. That was my potential, and quite honestly, we were both pretty excited about that being our potential. I find myself in remarkable times, standing with you in these incredible historic times. I have been pondering some things, some of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with in my life for several months. About 8 months ago, as I was beginning to think some things through, I wanted to meet with this man, Reverend Billy Graham. But when I called, you just don't call the Reverend Billy Graham and say, "Hey, I want to meet you." They said, "No, he doesn't think it's time." Well, time passed. About 2 weeks ago, I was standing in the hallway with somebody, and I said, "I just have to talk to Billy Graham." Well, 2 days later, a phone call came in, and it was Reverend Billy Graham. Said he wanted to meet with me. I guess the time was right now. We had scheduled an hour for last Saturday, and it went on for 3 hours. When I went to Billy Graham's mountaintop home in North Carolina, I really didn't expect that I would be having Chinese food, chopsticks and all, with him, but I did. I spoke of a growing darkness and evil. He spoke of a greater growth of light. I remember growing up as a kid, watching him on TV in the summer at my grandparents' house. They'd have his crusade on, and like most kids, I guess, I wasn't really into the message necessarily. But I was struck by the sheer size of it. I've been thinking a lot about those religious Billy Graham crusades. You don't see them on television anymore. I can't even imagine them happening in America like that anymore, let alone being covered by a network or on television. I wanted to say to you, look how far we've come, but it's actually, look how far we have drifted. The thing is, the world is changing, and the world can change overnight. It already has. As all of these things change, and the pressure on Israel and America and you grows greater and greater, what holds your arms up? Who is holding your arms up? I would urge you tonight to realize, search out in your own mind, do your own homework, and dare I say, pray on what is important to you. Decide for yourself whether the perfect storm is here, whether it even exists, if the rain has begun to fall, and if this is a storm unlike the world has seen in a long, long time, if ever. You, as a citizen, not only of this country, but of all mankind, have a responsibility, and you have an important role to play. If you're a teacher or a preacher, you tell the truth. You tell the children and those in your congregation that there are consequences for all of your actions. If you're a broadcaster, you do your own homework and tell the truth. If you're a guy like me with the potential of being a garbage man one day, really find out what you believe and hold on to your convictions. Reverend Graham said one thing to me as he left, or as I left him. He said, "Glenn, don't worry. You know how the last chapter ends. You know the story. And people are good. We just have to remind them of that." I reminded him of something that he had said earlier in the conversation. He was so full of peace. He said, "I'm really not worried about death. It's just that whole dying thing that has me worried." America, things will be increasingly tough in the coming days, but it will be okay if we can just be our higher selves and stick together. We have much more on this on Friday. Thank you, Billy Graham, for the inspiration.